Eddie, what a difference 5 years makes in the Skyline Chili Crosstown Showdown. Not to bring back bad memories, but your first game here at Covcath was in the Showdown. It was against St. X, and look where you are today. I mean, when people see that turnaround, and after you had success as a player at Newcath and Georgetown, as a coach at Newcath, when you came in 2015, you had to know it would take some time. When you look back, what were some of those key points and key moments in turning the Colonels into what it is today, a consistent winner?
Yeah, it's one of those things that when we got here, we knew it was going to be a process. Obviously, we knew it was going to be a process to kind of change that culture and to get to where we wanted to be. And, again, that 2015 and that senior class from that group, hopefully they still remember this, that we talked to them about them being the foundation of this kind of new beginning. And they were the foundation. And, we went to that first, Crosstown Showdown with just that we didn't have that belief. We didn't have that moxie when we got out on that field, and that was one thing that we had to change. And so we did take some lumps. We took our lumps that year, and but I think towards the end of that year, we started to see glimpses of, hey, you put this work in, you approach things this way, you do things the right way on and off the field. Those are things that can result in success on the field.
When I talk to people about you as a coach, I constantly hear it's his culture. It's the way he runs things. And you kind of maybe defined a little of that at the end of that last answer. But if somebody were to come to you and say, what do you attribute your culture to getting success like you've had here and sustaining it, what would you say is your culture?
I think it's you got to live it. It can't be something we say. It can't be something that we do for 2.5 hours every day. It's something you got to live. You got to try to be, as a person and as a player, you got to do all those things. It's one of those things like, how can you give great effort here but not in that part of your life, and different things of that. So, and obviously, you run that whole spectrum of where you're nailing it and where you're not nailing it, and what needs to be worked on and things like that. But, I think that's our goal, is trying to get our players, our staff, our families all into that culture of doing things the right way all the time. Being a great teammate, which in turn, again, is something that I'm sure many coaches talk to their players about. You do that eventually leads to being, a great dad, a great husband, a great community leader. So, that's the end goal.
Is there anybody through your career as a player and then maybe as a coach too that you feel like made the most impact on developing that mindset for you now as a head coach?
I obviously had some really great coaches as a player throughout. Coach Schneider at Newcath, he was a guy that he was always mindful of the team. Always mindful of the impact that football was kind of going to have after football, and things like that. And then, Coach Bill Cronin, I think the majority of the things I coach, and it's one of those things like you can't just say things, right? As a coach, you can't go to a clinic, hear a coach say something and say, well, if I just say that to my team, it's all going to work out. You got to live it. You got to implement it. You got to train it. You got to work on it. And that's one thing I learned from Coach Cronin at Georgetown is just, the everyday effort of, trying to bring a team together to do something that you can't do by yourself. You need everybody involved to get it done.
Now I'm going to ask you about today, because I remember Kerry Combs years ago telling me it's one thing to turn a program into a winner. It's much more difficult to sustain that. Well, as we stand here going into Friday's game, you've won 34 straight regular season games, 48 of 49 overall. So you've managed to do that. Is it more difficult to keep it there? And that does the message from you to the team year after year change because you've enjoyed success?
Coach Combs nailed it. It is definitely more difficult. And it's one of those things where it's more difficult because you got to keep your thumb on it. You got to keep your thumb on the heartbeat of the team, and you do have to change. Obviously, the identity of your team changes sometimes throughout the season, let alone from season to season. So, we definitely got to keep our thumb on that, and we got to change with the team.
You know, Eddie, this has to be one of the best series in the state of Kentucky every year. I mean, you look at Highlands has won 23 state championships. They won 6 in a row, and I think 7 of 8 years from 2007 to 2013. Then you guys have really picked it up of late. You've won 2 of the last 3, and we're 5 points away from having a three-peat. You know, when you talk to your team about this game, and I know it's only one game, it's an important game, but it's a district game, but there's a lot of history in this series, too. Do you talk about that?
We really don't. You know, we really don't. We approach, it's kind of been our mindset that we approach each game as each game. We don't get into a certain week is bigger than the other week. I think you can, I think football, you become a creature of habit, creature of routine. We try to keep that. I think that kind of keeps us, at a even keel. And then hopefully allows us to play at a high level as well, so that we're not doing a roller coaster week by week and different things like that. So, plus, I don't think I have to talk about it. I think we have enough people around, from both alumni groups, from just people in general that enjoy this game. And it is a great game, and I don't want to downplay that at all. It is a great game. It's a great rivalry, something that I was an outsider looking in for many years, and now kind of being a part of it. It's great to be a part of, but from a team standpoint, we try to just say this is just this is our game this week, and we work on ourselves. Obviously, we prepare for the opponent. We work on ourselves, try to improve ourselves each week.
Talk about your team. You're 4-0. You didn't play last week. You had a couple close ones. A good Dixie Heights team. Week 1, you win 21-14. Beechwood, you win that game late. Then you had a couple lopsided games. But where do you see this year's team? You lost a lot of guys from last year. Do you feel like now you're starting to kind of round into midseason form? Yes,
and that's something we talked to our team about this week, and as we had that bye week. Hey, we've always talked about kind of, that game 4, game 5 that we're going into kind of being, all right, now we got the preseason out of us, and you usually have a couple scrimmages and start to get things going, the first game jitters, and now you try to, and so really this second half of our shortened season, hopefully we start to have an identity. I don't think we've found an identity in who we are yet, and hopefully we find that out in the next few weeks as we gear up for playoffs.
One question about Highlands: they've won 3 of their last 4. They come off 2 shutout wins, and really I know they're 3-2, and they look. I watched the Connor game, and I know they had a big win last week. What concerns you most about them? They've got a good athletic young quarterback. What's your biggest concern about Highlands? You guys have dominated. You've won every game starting in 2016 through last year. You've won the last 5. But what concerns you about Highlands?
Well, first of all, you're always going to get your best effort from them. They're going to come out. They're going to get great effort. But I think overall their team speed. They got great team speed. They're dangerous in that regard. They got some guys that with that quarterback that can make some plays that are broken down. No matter what we do, if we do everything sound, sometimes some individual efforts can be dangerous. And so, we got to make sure that that when those things happen, we line up and play that next play, and don't make any mistakes, be compounded play after that. So that's the one thing I think as we go into this game. They're dangerous. They're going to give us our great effort. The whole rivalry thing. It all plays into it.
Final football question. You had to be smiling Saturday night. Michael Meijer, you watched him every day here, catching his first touchdown at Notre Dame and having a great freshman season so far. I know you knew that was something that you'd see probably this quickly, but boy, pretty impressive how quickly he's jumped onto the scene and making an impact.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see, and it's very deserving. I mean, he's a kid that works his tail off. I know he's gone up there with he went up there with that attitude of, hey, I don't want to sit on the sidelines too long. I want to make an impact. And so, I was excited for him on Saturday. We talked before the game, and he felt that he might have that opportunity to get in the end zone, and it was great to see him get there and show that excitement. And hopefully we get to see that a lot more in the next few years.
Final question: when Eddie Eviston goes to Skyline Chili, do you have a go-to?
Oh yeah, I got an extreme 3-way for sure. And then, obviously, depending on how hungry I am, I might throw on an extra cheese coney. So,
perfect.